So today we're going to look at long exposure motion lapse photography, even though it creates a video on your DJI Pocket 3. So I'm not going to mess around today, no explosions or anything. Let's get to the video. This is a tutorial. Now you can do all this just on your Pocket 3, but today I'm going to connect using my DJI Mimo app and I'm going to record my screen so you can see the settings and how I go about the process of creating these motion lapses with long exposure. So let's go out now at nighttime, a good time to test the low light of the Pocket 3 and show you how to do long exposure photography / motion lapse video. We're going to start this in photo mode to actually check how our exposure looks. So we click photo and make sure you click on the top left and then click the M for manual exposure. Now we're going to try use 1/1.67 as our shutter speed. This is a test. Take a photo and then view it on your phone. And you'll see there's a little bit of blur, but I think we can do quite a lot better. So we go back into our manual setting and change the shutter speed to 1/1.25. And then we do another photo test and you can see we're getting some streaks of color. This is starting to look a lot better. But let's try 1/2 shutter speed. We take another photo and we get some nice lines. That's what we're looking for. Let's remember that setting for later. So in general, all the way on the right hand side, the 1 second is the longest exposure you can get. As you move to the left, it gets quicker and quicker, meaning your shutter is open for a shorter period. In general, you should test these things from left to right when you're doing this photo test, but now that we know 1/2 is what we want to use, how do we convert that to the motion lapse setting? So now we go into the right hand side and change our mode to time lapse. At the top we'll set up our time lapse clicking that little drop down. I'm going to set this time lapse to run for 20 minutes. It'll take a photo every 3 seconds and the mode we're going to use is custom mode on the right hand side. I'm just going to delete all those points because I was testing earlier. Now use your joystick to move your gimbal head all the way to the right. And you see that little blue button in the middle of the screen? Click that little blue button to add a point. Now we move the joystick a little bit to the left, which moves the gimbal head left. Add the blue point. Now move the joystick left and we add another waypoint. We're basically just adding waypoints here. Now we can click preview motion lapse just to make sure we're happy with how the video is going to play back. And it looks pretty good. The next thing to do is remember that setting we did in the photo mode, 1/2. We need to go into that auto mode, make sure we click manual, and then change the shutter speed to 1/2. That's pretty much all the hard work done. All you need to do is push record and let me show you a few little things. Notice from the top menu, this will record 13 seconds of footage. All I need to do now is click the record button. Notice at the top, it's counting down 20 minutes. That's the duration of the time lapse. You'll also see the accumulated seconds on the right hand side. Now as you sit there waiting for your time lapse to complete, you'll see a preview after every 3 seconds of the photo that it took. This is a good chance to stop it if you're not happy with what you're getting and restart the whole process. But as you can see, this little bus will come up on the screen. It's looking pretty good and I think it's going to look okay. The more movement and the closer you can get to action, the better your time lapse at night is going to look. Notice we have 10 seconds left and 13 seconds of recording has taken place. Now we're ready to play back. The Pocket 3 will automatically stop and revert back to a center position. Now we're ready. This isn't the best motion lapse using long exposure. If you get closer to the action and fiddle around with your shutter speed, depending on the light and the movement you can see, you might be able to get some really good results, especially at intersections and gas stations. It's kind of a cool effect, and since the gimbal moves, it's really useful. You can also do this with clouds in the daytime. You don't need to set long exposure, just use normal shutter speeds and get some nice results. Now on the Pocket 3 Mimo app it says 2 seconds for clouds and things like that. I find that's a little bit too fast actually. Clouds, especially some clouds, move pretty slowly depending on the weather and the wind and everything. But just know that it's not 100% DJI's written clouds there. I feel like 4 seconds is a better example. And also the longer your time lapse is, the better it's going to look. Disclaimer, the DJI Pocket 2 used to allow 8-second long exposure. The Pocket 3 only has 1 second long exposure, but all the other settings appear to be about the same. Now, will they fix that in a firmware upgrade? I'm sure we're going to see longer exposure on the photography for your shutter speeds. So we'll just wait for the next firmware upgrade because I think they're going to include that. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, even though I don't really make videos anymore. And see you again, maybe next time.